When you think about Indian electric vehicles, what's the first vehicle that comes into your mind? For some, it might be the Tata Nexon EV. For others, it might be Mahindra's E20 Plus. Remove one wheel and you have Mahindra's Trio. And if you remove one more, you have electric scooters like the Bajaj Chetak and TVS's iQube. But what about startups? Tata, Mahindra, Bajaj, TVS, and all of the other heavyweights of India's automotive industry are well established. But the vehicles that they've been manufacturing have historically been a huge contributor to the air pollution that has plagued the cities of India for the last couple of decades. EV startups, on the other hand, are by and large exclusively focused on EVs. They just don't make internal combustion engine vehicles. They aren't part of the problem. They're part of the solution. And that's why we decided to make a video about them. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires, guys. I'm Caleb, your host, and today we're gonna be talking about the top 10 Indian EV startups that are helping to make India a cleaner and greener country. Let's start things off on an interesting note at number 10 with Strom Motors, which was founded in Mumbai in 2016 by Pratik Gupta, Jean-Luc Abazio, and Dr. Gilmer Blankenship. These three co-founders have created a made-in-India electric three-wheeler. But this isn't an electric auto rickshaw. This is a trike, and they're calling it the R3. With an estimated price point of between 4 and 4.5 lakh rupees, which is approximately between 5,400 and 6,000 US dollars, the R3 is targeted at people who want to own an affordable EV, but they don't want something secondhand. They want something new, something high-tech, something from the 20s. And that's exactly what the R3 is. It's super high-tech. According to Pratik Gupta, Strom R3 comes with a 4G connected diagnostic engine where users can track not just the location and status of charge, but can also get a complete health report of critical components like brake pads, motors, and electronics. The onboard system continuously tracks the road terrain and driver habits, along with machine learning-based navigation engine which learns the user's daily drive routes. Strom Motors is planning on delivering its first round of R3s in January of 2021. Next up at number 9, we have Euler Motors, which is working on a Tesla-inspired electric auto rickshaw for India's cargo segment. Along with this auto, Euler is also creating a full-stack ecosystem which includes charging and service station networks, and they've already partnered with leading e-commerce companies like Big Basket, Ecom Express, Blue Dart, Udaan, and Milk Basket to provide this electric mobility stack as a service using more than 200 prototype vehicles. These vehicles are expected to leave the prototype phase and be launched in India in the first quarter of 2021. Now, talking about the actual startup itself, it was founded in 2018 in New Delhi by Saurav Kumar, who built his first startup, Cube26, back in 2012. In 2018, he sold that company to Paytm and used the exit money to start building Euler Motors. Since then, Euler Motors has established a network of 100 charging stations in Delhi NCR, and in order to do this, they've raised more than 35 crore rupees, that's more than 4.7 million US dollars, from investors like Bloom Ventures, Inventus Capital, Singapore-based Jetty Ventures India Investments, and one of Udaan's co-founders, Sujit Kumar. As of May of 2020, the startup was valued at around 93 crore rupees, that's 12.5 million US dollars. Moving on to number 8 now, let's change gears and talk about Mflux Motors, which is a Bengaluru-based electric superbike startup that was founded by Ankit Chetri, Varun Mittal, and Vinay Raj in 2016. Their first bike, the Mflux One, will be the fastest made-in-India electric superbike when it's launched at some point in 2021. With a top speed of 200 kilometers per hour, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour acceleration in 3 seconds, and a range of 200 kilometers. Now, the price of the bike has not yet been announced, but it's likely to be somewhere between 5 and 6 lakh rupees. That's somewhere between $6,750 and $8,100, which would also make it one of the most expensive made-in-India e-motorcycles. But besides e-bikes, Mflux Motors has a couple of other things going on as well. Firstly, they're building an ecosystem of partner OEMs, that's original equipment manufacturers, to whom they plan on supplying EV-related technology and components. And then secondly, they briefly forayed into the personal protective equipment market in May of 2020 with the launch of the Mflux Face Shield. And to me personally, that says a lot about this company's flexibility. Yes, they're building a superbike, but they're also a startup, and startups don't always have to be one-dimensional. I mean, take a look at Tesla for an example. Obviously, they're not a startup anymore, they're much too big to be considered a startup, but they make things like tequila, short shorts, and this t-shirt. But getting back to MFlux Motors now, they've raised a total of $538,000, that's 3.9 crore rupees, and according to Traxion, they were last valued at $2 million, that's 14.8 crore rupees, in February of 2018. So we're gonna move on to number 7 in just a second, but before we do, if you're not already subscribed, you're missing out. We post new videos every single week about Indian startups, entrepreneurs, and the latest news. Also, if you use any of these social media platforms, make sure to go check us out on those. And we also have a Discord server if you want to become a little bit more active in the community. And also, if you prefer to consume content in Hindi, we also have a Hindi YouTube channel as well. You can find links to all of those things in the description down below. All right, coming in at number 7 now, we have Okinawa, which is a Gurugram-based two-wheeler EV startup that was founded in 2015 by Rupali Sharma and Jitinder Sharma. And according to Jitinder, the name for the company came to him after he visited this island in Japan called Okinawa, which is known for its zero pollution environment. This experience worked as an inspiration to start something that would contribute to creating an eco-friendly environment in India. Now, Okinawa's electric scooters are extremely affordable. But just to give you guys an idea of what their flagship product is like, it's priced at 1 lakh rupees, that's $1,300 and it's called the iPraise Plus. The iPraise Plus has a top speed of 58 kilometers per hour, swappable batteries, and a smartphone app that enables you to immobilize your scooter remotely, track its location, see how much juice its battery has, and also find out when you need to take it in for servicing. Now, I'm gonna be the first to admit that the iPraise Plus, along with all of Okinawa's other scooters, look pretty average. In fact, if I saw one on the road, I probably wouldn't even realize that it was an EV. But that's actually something that Okinawa has done intentionally. They're not trying to create a scooter that looks high-tech and expensive, because that's not what their target customer wants. Instead, Okinawa's goal is to create affordable electric two-wheelers that look normal, but host a ton of smart features that you don't get from internal combustion engine scooters and bikes. That's right, Okinawa has also created an e-bike called the OKI 100. The OKI 100 has been designed to directly compete with another Indian e-bike called the RV 400, which was made by the 6th startup on this list, Revolt Motors. Revolt was founded in Gurugram at the beginning of 2019 by one of the co-founders of Indian smartphone manufacturer Micromax, Rahul Sharma. Rahul made a personal investment of between 400 and 500 crore rupees, that's between 54 million and 67 million US dollars, in order to get Revolt off the ground. And in October of 2019, they began shipping e-bikes. These bikes, the RV300 and the RV400, have swappable batteries that are capable of taking their riders approximately 85 kilometers in distance. And their top speeds are 65 kilometers per hour for the RV300 and 80 kilometers per hour for the RV400. The bikes also support AI-powered features like geofencing, geolocation, battery swapping and monitoring, and also changing the sound of the bike so that it's not silent. And all of these features and specs, along with the bike's general appearances, have won over Revolt Motors' target customers. These bikes are selling so fast that the startup can't keep up. And so as a result, in August of 2020, Revolt Motors announced that they were going to be raising $100 million, that's 743 crore rupees, in order to keep up with demand and also expand their operations into new cities. Next up at number 5, we have another electric high-performance motorcycle startup called Ultraviolet Automotive. Ultraviolet was founded in Bengaluru in 2015 by Niraj Rajmohan and Narayan Subramanian, and they're building a bike called the F77, which is going to be launched in 2021. This thing goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and 0 to 100 in 7 seconds, and it has a top speed of 147 kilometers per hour. Talking about range, the F77 can travel between 130 and 150 kilometers on a single charge, and you can easily swap out old batteries for new ones. Besides this, the F77 is fully connected to a mobile app which enables you to find out where your bike is, how much charge your batteries have, and you can also customize things like max speed, max torque, and how much energy regeneration the vehicle's brakes are doing. Now, understandably, there is a lot of hype surrounding this vehicle, not just from prospective customers, but also from investors. Back in September of 2020, Ultraviolet Automotive raised 30 crore rupees, that's about $4 million in its Series B round from TVS, which owns a 29.48% stake in the company. However, over the course of the next 12 to 14 months, Ultraviolet Automotive is planning on raising an additional $71 million more across its ongoing Series B and Series C rounds. Also, this EV startup is currently valued at 805 crore rupees, that's $108.7 million. Coming in at number 4 now, we have Tork Motors, which is a Pune-based electric bike startup that was officially founded in 2016, but the startup's journey actually began in 2005 when the company's founder, Kapil Shaike, and 3 of his classmates got together and built their first ever electric motorcycle. By 2009, the bike was ready for the track, but not just any track. This was the Isle of Man, which is arguably the most deadly racetrack in the world. Kapil and his friends were able to raise about 15 lakh rupees, that's approximately $20,000 from family and friends, in order to get the TX01 all the way over to the UK to compete. On the 12th of June of 2009, racer John Crellin took the TX01 to 3rd place at the Isle of Man's TTX-GP, which was a race specifically designed for electric bikes. Sadly, John died later that day in another race, but that didn't stop Tork from competing again in 2010 with the TX02 and 2012 with the TX03. By the time Tork had built the TX05, India had started to take notice, and when they announced pre-orders for the T6X, which is expected to launch in June of 2021, they saw more than 1,000 pre-orders in the first 24 hours. The T6X is going to be priced at around 1.25 lakh rupees, or approximately $1,700, and it's going to include a lot of the features that you would expect from an electric bike at this price point. A mobile app, 100 kilometers of range, a top speed of 100 kilometers per hour, and an AI-enabled operating system called Tiros. Tork Motors is backed by Bharat Forge, which owns 49% of the company, along with Ratan Tata and the co-founders of Ola Cabs, Bhavish Agarwal and Ankit Bhatti. This EV startup is currently valued at 113 crore rupees, or $15.2 million. Next up at number 3, we have a Bengaluru-based electric scooter rental startup called Yulu, which was founded in 2017 by Imobi's co-founder Amit Gupta, along with Naveen Dachuri, RK Mishra, and Hemant Gupta. Unlike the other startups on this list, you can't actually buy one of Yulu's vehicles, which they call the Yulu Move, that's the bicycle variant, and the Yulu Miracle, that's the electric scooter variant. Instead, Yulus are actually rented. All you gotta do is download the Yulu app, put some money in your Yulu wallet, and then find the Yulu nearest to you. To operate, their bicycles and scooters use IoT sensors, GPS, QR codes, and SIM cards. Since its inception in 2017, Yulu has raised $19.9 million, that's 147 crore rupees, from investors like Bajaj Auto, which owns 16.67% of the company, Rockship VC, which owns 3.84%, Wavemaker Partners, and 314 Capital. Yulu is currently valued at 585 crore rupees, or $78.8 million. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Ather Energy, which is a Bengaluru-based electric scooter startup that was founded in 2013 by Swapnil Jain and Tarun Mehta. While the co-founder duo and their team were busy building their first electric scooter, the Ather S340, they found it pretty difficult to raise funds. VCs just weren't willing to take a risk and invest in a smart electric scooter designed for the Indian market. Then though, Tarun and Swapnil were finally able to convince Sachin Bansal, who now owns 20.69% of the company, and Binny Bansal, who now owns 4.38%, to invest $1 million, that's 7.4 crore rupees, in December of 2014. And this gave other investors the confidence to pump even more money into this tiny little EV startup. Today, 6 years later, Ather Energy has raised raised $140 million, that's 1,035 crore rupees, from investors like Hero MotoCorp, which owns 37.84% of the company, Innovan Capital, and Tiger Global. They've used these funds, along with the sales of the Ather S340, to create the Ather 450 and the Ather 450X. These scooters are packed so full of features that it's honestly hard to list them all. You've got an LCD screen which uses Google Maps, you can play music from this display, you can answer calls from it. There's obviously a mobile app which integrates with the scooter where you can see information about it. You've got incognito mode, so you can basically turn off location tracking. You've got stand sensors so that you don't forget to put your stand up. You've got a top speed in warp mode of 90 kilometers per hour, and you've got a certified range of 116 kilometers. Besides this, Ather Energy has also set up a charging station network called Ather Grid, which currently only really has a presence in 6 Indian cities. But the idea here is for Ather scooter owners, and actually most EV owners, as these charging stations are actually compatible with any EV that has a 5A charger, to never be more than 4 kilometers away from a charging station. And it's honestly this vision, this dream of turning India into one of the world's EV hubs, that has made Ather Energy India's most valuable electric two-wheeler startup. With a valuation just shy of 1,405 crore rupees, that's $189 million according to FinTracker. Now, without giving too much away here, this title, this position as India's most valuable electric two-wheeler startup, might be taken away from Ather Energy pretty soon by the final startup on this list. But before we talk about that company, I wanted to highlight a couple of honorable mentions. These are 10 startups that didn't make it onto our list, but they're doing pretty cool stuff. And by the way, I've sorted them just in alphabetical order. Firstly, there's Ampere Electric, which has a selection of scooters with mass appeal, kind of like Okinawa, but this Coimbatore-based startup was acquired at a valuation of 325 crore rupees, that's $43.8 million by Greaves Cotton, which is a publicly traded company, which is why Ampere didn't make it onto our list, as they're not really a startup anymore. Then we've got AMS Electric Mobility, which is a Hyderabad-based startup that's building electric buses ranging from 7 to 12 meters in length. After that, we've got ATI Motors, which is a Bengaluru-based startup that's built 2 autonomous electric cargo carriers called the Sherpa 1000 and the Sherpa Mini. Next, we've got Automobile, which is a Hyderabad-based electric bike startup that's built a pretty cool-looking low-speed electric motorcycle. Following that, we've got Battery, which is a Jaipur-based startup that's building stylish IoT-enabled scooters and bicycles. Next, we've got Celestial E-Mobility, which is a Hyderabad-based startup that's built an e-tractor for both farming and airport applications. And then after that, we've got Cell Propulsion, which is a Bengaluru-based startup that's building a made-in-India electric bus called the Beluga. Next, we've got eVerve Motor, which is a Pune-based startup that's developing a luxury electric scooter with a top speed of 110 kilometers per hour called the EF1. Following that, we've got Evolet, which is a Gurugram-based startup that's owned by the Risala Group, and they've got a pretty impressive selection of electric two-wheelers, and they're also responsible for India's first all-electric quad. And then finally, we have Kabira Mobility, which is a Goa-based startup that's making some pretty nice-looking low-speed electric two-wheelers. So those were our honorable mentions, and now finally, coming in at number 1, we have Bengaluru-based Ola Electric. They own an electric scooter manufacturer that's based out of Amsterdam called Etergo, and they've also added other companies' EVs to their electric fleet like Kinetic Safar Smart Electric Auto, Mahindra's E20 Plus, and Goldstone BYD electric buses. And then near the end of 2020, word got out that Ola Electric was going to be building the world's largest electric two-wheeler manufacturing facility in India. And while at the time of filming this video, that factory is nowhere near being completed, it's looking like by the end of 2021, Ola Electric is going to own a sizable chunk of India's EV market, and specifically the electric two-wheeler market, as they're planning on launching their first ever electric vehicle here in India at the beginning of 2021. And they're actually going to be launching that same vehicle outside of India in Europe at some point before 2020 is over. And by the time you watch this video, they might have already launched that vehicle in Europe. This upcoming launch would result in Ola Electric replacing Ather Energy as India's most valuable electric two-wheeler startup. And just look at this electric two-wheeler. This is Etergo's app scooter, and they're estimating that it's going to be priced at around 1.5 1.5 lakh rupees here in India, that's approximately 2,000 US dollars. And just for the sake of comparison, the Ather 450X is priced at 1.6 lakh rupees, that's 2,150 US dollars. And in terms of features, they're also pretty similar too. With warp mode, the Ather 450X can hit a top speed of 90 kilometers per hour, while the App Scooter can hit a top speed of 95 kilometers per hour. They both have smart displays, they both have IoT sensors, they both have GPS and SIM card. They have all of those smart features that you would expect from an electric scooter at this price point. But where the App Scooter really shines is range. As I mentioned earlier, the Ather 450X has a certified range of 116 kilometers. The App Scooter, on the other hand, with one battery module installed, can travel 80 kilometers. But here's the thing. There are 3 battery modules, which means that the App Scooter can travel a maximum distance in optimal conditions of 240 kilometers. That's 240 kilometers without any charging, without any battery swapping, nothing. You just get on the scooter and you can drive for 240 kilometers straight. That means that you could hop on your App Scooter in New Delhi, drive all the way to Agra, plug your scooter in, go take a look at the Taj Mahal, then come back to your scooter and drive all the way back to New Delhi without any stops along the way. Now, I don't know whether that estimated 1.5 lakh price tag would include 1 battery or 3, but either way, just having that option of having 3 battery modules would definitely remove a lot of the range anxiety that electric scooter owners feel. And I get the feeling that that's one of the reasons why so many people are excited for Ole Electric to build this massive electric two-wheeler factory. Now, the factory itself would be spread out across 100 acres of land, and I think the main reason why they're building this is because they're trying to achieve a goal of putting 1 million EVs on India's roads by 2021. But of course, in order to do this, they're going to need access to a lot of funds. And so far, Ole Electric has raised $307 million, that's 2,277 crore rupees, from investors like SoftBank, Kia, Hyundai, Tata, Tiger Global, and Matrix Partners India. Currently, the startup is valued at more than $1 billion, or more than 7,418 crore rupees. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are the top 10 Indian EV startups that are driving India towards a cleaner and greener automotive future. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button. That would really help us out, and also subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Backstage with Millionaires, and I will see you in the next one.